YouTube, it's Friday, June 21st. There are 14 games in baseball to talk about today. But first, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, because yesterday, the run finally came to an end. I told you for like 3 straight days it was going to be red eventually. And guess what? It finally happened. Went 1-3, lost 2 units, but still up 17 for the week, 52 for the month. Absolutely crushing it, just like we plan to do around here. Slow growth is what we want. So that being said, I'm going to start doing a change around here. I know a lot of people come in here and their main thing here is to see what my thoughts are on a particular game, because when you come in here, you pretty much have your mind made up. You like these games, you like these teams, you like these sides. You want to see if my data and my opinions back up your selection. So what I want to do is start being more open with my thoughts on this. So, because a lot of times you'll hear me say, I don't like this, I'm going to pass on that and move on to the next game. That doesn't help you out much. That leaves you with more questions than anything. So, and I don't want you missing out on money. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to give you leans on the side, the total, props, Nerfy, whatever there's leans on. I'll tell you if I don't have a lean at all. If my lean is nothing, I'll tell you that. So going forward, that's what we're going to do here. That way, every single game, you get to see what my thought process is, see how the stats work. That way you can make more educated decisions. That way, long-term, we can make more profits. So that being said, we got 14 games. Let's go ahead and jump to that first one now. All right, first up's the day game. We got the Mets and the Cubs. We got Quintana with a 4.98 up against Shota with a 1.90. Looking at the odds, you see that the Cubs are slightly favored at home, 145, 150-ish. Odds, 8.5s are out there. Data, the Mets run is finally over. May the grimmest run rest in peace. Cubs won 2 in a row. They're 49.1 Nerfy, not worth talking about. 8 and 5.7 are your runs a game for second and eighth, both top 8 in the majors. Batting averages, both top 3, 319 and 314. So both offenses are absolutely en fuego. They're on fire. 9.0 and 7.3 strikeouts. We could look at a little Shota strikeout prop against the Mets because they are in that 22nd spot. And you see they're trending higher. That's not good for strikeouts. You want that trend to be low. So let's go ahead and pop on over to Shota. We see 189 with a 0.99 ERA. You can see his one bad game was against Milwaukee back here. He has not faced the Mets recently. In the last few games, 4 hits with 1 over 7, 5 with 2 over against Cincy, and 7 for 1. And strikeout 6, 7, 6. If they give me a 5.5, I'm going to take it against the Mets. Even though the Mets are on fire offensively, they are striking out. So they can score. You can still score runs and strike out. Not a problem. You can do that. So I'm going to look at a strikeout prop. I'm not saying I'm going to take it or not. I don't know yet. So I'm going to look at the strikeout prop after I'm done with this and see where I gotta surf the books. I gotta find out what I can find, because as always, if you're using one book, you're doing it wrong. You need to be using multiple books. If you don't have at least 5 to 10 books, you're doing it completely wrong. Just saying that out there. Don't be loyal to one because they aren't loyal to you. So let me tell you that. So based on these stats, you see Shota's doing pretty good. Strikeout prop could easily be in play. Quintana, 4.98 with a 137, has not faced the Cub, but you can see what the trend is here. Do I need to show you? I'll show you. He's given up 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this was his best game, was 2 hits and 1 earned against San Diego, who is up and down. This was them last week. I believe San Diego was in the bottom half of the majors when it comes to batting. They were struggling, and he did that. Yeah, anyone can do that against a team struggling. Yeah, good job. So either way, he's probably going to give up 3. Just that's his average, is 3. So we expect him to give up 3. I expect Shota to come out and give up nothing, 1. It's the Mets, maybe 2. So you could always look at the odds and see 8.5s out there. I can clearly see this game going. Shota comes out there, pitches a gem. It's like 3-0 going to the 7th. They pull him. Chicago's bullpen comes in and gives up 4 runs. I could easily see that. I can see the Mets popping off, the Cubs popping off because both offenses are on fire. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the over. I got 8s out here. I'm going to take over 8. We're going to say, if I'm leaning ways today, I'm going to give leans in every play today. Instead of just straight up picks, I'm going to give leans for everything. Today, I'm leaning the over. I'm leaning the Cubs money line first 5, and I'm leaning Shota strikeout props. Those are the 3 things I'm leaning in this game. And let's do that. Move on to the next game. So next up, we got the White Sox and the Tigers. We got Fed with a 309 up against Flaherty with a 301. Looking at the odds, we see that Detroit is a pretty heavy favorite at home, around 180, 175-ish. We have a bunch of 7.5s out there. And for data, White Sox have lost 2. Detroit has lost 4. Someone's going to break their streak today. It just has to. Looking at the stats, you can see Nerfy's at 60.6. That's not close to 70, but based on what we're seeing numbers wise, you can see we got some decent pitchers, but we got some terrible offenses here. Chicago is 26 with 2 runs a game while batting 180. Detroit is getting 0.7 runs a game in their last 3 for 30th, dead last in the majors, while batting 184. I usually like 70% on Nerfies, but when you've got 2 offenses this miserable and you got pitching that on paper looks decent, we'll dive a little bit more into it. I'm already leaning the Nerfie in this one. So let's pop on over and see just how much we have with this Nerfie, because we have 2 pitchers here that we want to make sure that they are good. They're doing decent right now. If they're doing their job right now, then I'm okay with that. So here we go. Pop on over Fed. We see game log 309 with a 117. Last game, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks against Arizona. He only struck out 4 against Seattle, which is always a concern. If you can't strike out more than against Seattle of all teams, you got problems. But you only get 5 hits in 1 earn. You like that. Chicago, 6 with 3 and 7. Has not faced the White Sox. I mean, not the White Sox, the Tigers recently. So you can see his worst game was against Milwaukee. Apparently, everybody's worst game recently is against Milwaukee. Gave up 4, and before that, Toronto down for 5. So he's up and down, but he's pretty consistent. He's going to give up 1 or 2, maybe 3 at most. So these are pretty decent numbers. Looking at his counterpart, Flaherty, 301 with a .95. His game log here, we see that he has been pretty decent. 0, 0, 0. 3 against Toronto. Now you're getting further into May. I don't care about those takes. So we see, and again, he hasn't faced the White Sox. So we have 2 decent pitchers. Not bad, not amazing, but decent. So we take that, mix it with this atrocious offenses we have here. Not only am I leaning the under, because that's what we're doing today. We're doing leans all day. We're going to lean the under. We're going to lean the Nerfie. And is Detroit really worth 175, 180? How? I know Flaherty's decent numbers, but wow, that's... I mean, I can't even lean aside in this one. If you want to take Detroit, by all means, because look at these stats. These are good numbers against Houston, Texas, not bad. Boston, these are great numbers. He hasn't given up more than 5. He's got 6 hits in 3 starts. That's pretty good. You'd like to see that. So I can see that. All right. But the offense, it's going to be like a 3-1 game. That's the most you're going to get, because that's all you're going to see. So, I can't. This is wild to me. So, all right. So, yeah, I wouldn't lean aside. If anything, you lean Detroit. You lean Detroit because of pitching. You lean the under because of how bad the offenses are, and lean the Nerfie and move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Tampa Bay and Pitt. We got Pepio at a 4.57, and it's not on score, but my numbers do say, I believe it's Jones out here pitching. So we don't. That's why I don't like score sometimes. It just doesn't want to update the people. So, so that's the matchup we have. Looking at the odds, we see that it is Tampa's slight favorite here and there. Some places like Ben and Jim still don't have lines up yet because they haven't caught on to who's pitching for Pittsburgh apparently. So you can see the over-unders are 8.5 across the board. Data, Tampa's 1-2, Pittsburgh's 1-1. 51.8 on the Nerfie. That's a pass. 5.3 versus 2.0 in the run. So Tampa has a pretty decent advantage scoring. 243 batting versus 167. Pittsburgh is struggling to hit the ball their last 3 games. And they're both striking out 9 times a game for 22nd. So looking over at the pitching matchups, we can see for Tampa Bay, even ESPN doesn't have it updated to Jones yet, but I use another site to pull the information. It's saying Jones is starting. So I don't, if ESPN doesn't have it yet and some of the books don't have lines yet, I don't know if I trust that yet. So we'll leave that alone. I will give you Pepio's numbers right here so we can look at it. We can see 4.57 with a 108. You can see his stats. He has been atrocious in the last few games. 5.4, 3.2, 3.3. Dude gives up runs. He's handing out runs like turkeys during Thanksgiving at a charity. He's just handing them out. So you could see, if you want to take Tampa Bay, you're going to have to take a high-scoring game. So you better hope Tampa Bay can cover those runs, because Pittsburgh is going to get a few because he's pitching. So now I can't really go over anything for Pittsburgh pitching because we don't know for certain who's pitching. So based on this, for me personally betting, I'm passing on this game. But if for leans, just to, people want to see leans, I got you. I'm gonna give you some leans. I would lean Tampa Bay because of they have the offensive advantage, and we think Jones is going out there. So I would lean Tampa Bay. For over-unders, since we know Pepio gives up runs, as you can see here, he gives up runs 5, 4, 3, 2, 3. We see this. I would lean over 8.5 for this one for sure. And because even if it's not Jones, it's going to be some, it might be a bullpen game, it might be a minor leaguer, we don't know yet. So it's going to be a dude that probably gives up runs because they're facing Tampa's offense, who is pretty hot right now. So yeah, heavy lean on the over in this one as well. So that's all I would even look at, and I'd move on to the next game. Next up, we got Arizona and Philly. This is Montgomery with a 6 up against Walker with a 5-3. And one little side note, it is on Apple TV apparently, and I don't know if the rumor's true or not, but I remember anytime there's a game on Apple TV, they tend to have juiced balls, like the overs tend to hit more. So that's something to look at in this one. So looking at the odds, we see the over-under's 9.5. So, and the Phillies are they're a slight favorite at home, nothing to worry about there. Data, Arizona's won 1, Phillies lost 1, 43.8% Nerfy. That's not good enough. That's a pass. 3.7 offense runs a game for Arizona. Their last 3 for 19th. Philly is 5 for 11th. Advantage Philly. Both teams' bats are still hot when it comes to averages. 307 for 5th and 346 for 1st. So both teams are batting great, but they're having trouble scoring. Well, Arizona is. Philly's doing decent, 11th. You would think with the number 1 batting average, you'd be higher in runs, but you must be leaving a lot of people on base, and that's not good. You need them dudes to win. So 8.7 strikeouts and 8.3 strikeouts. They're both middle of the road, nothing to talk about there. Looking at the pitching, we got Mr. Montgomery going out there with his 6 with a 1.63. He has not faced the Phillies recently. We see his games. He pitched great against the White Sox. 4 hits, 1 for 7 strikeouts. LA gave him 3. San Fran roughed him up for 6. New York roughed him up for 10 and 8. 9 and 2 against Miami. Dude leans closer to he's going to give up 5 or 6 because you can see the ERA is obviously 6, but he leans closer to giving up 6, 4 or 5 runs than he has 0. So you lean him to hit an over in this one. Walker, on the other hand, 5.3 with a 1.45. You can see his stats. 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2. He gives a run. So we have 2 pitchers that give up runs. So we have the odds are 9.5, and we got the rumor because it's on Apple TV. They might have juiced balls. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know the data. I don't know if anybody even has that data, but I've seen enough people talking about it being on Apple TV that, oh, take the over because Apple paid for it. They want more viewers, whatever. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll take the over. I would lean the over. I would lean away from the side in this game because I don't trust any of these teams. You see these pitching staffs? They're terrible. Both these pitchers are not good. So I would lean away from that hard. So I couldn't even begin to tell you which way to lean to because looking at the data, they're about the same. The batting averages are great. Both teams are kind of, Pittsburgh has a slight advantage offensively, yes. But outside of that, I can't do it. I can't do it. I wouldn't, if you want to lean Philly, but I can't. So I would take the over in this one. I wouldn't take anything else next game. Next up, we got the Braves and the Yankees. We got Chris Sale at a 2.98 up against Rodon with a 3.28. Looking at the odds, we see it's about a pick 'em across the board. Totals are 7.5 and 8. Again, this game is on Apple TV, so who knows? They might have those juice balls again. I don't know. So anytime I see Apple TV now, I immediately think of last year when people kept saying it. So, but 7.5 and 8 is something to look at. Looking at the data, we see Atlanta's 1-3. The Yankees have lost 2, 51.4% on the Nerfy. Not good enough for me. I'm passing on that. Wouldn't even lean aside in that one. 3.7 runs for 19th, 5 runs for 11th. We have advantage than the Yankees, and we have 253 and 223. We have a slight advantage LA on batting. 9.7 strikeouts for the Braves and 4.3 for the Yankees. So I wouldn't even lean Chris Sale strikeouts because you can see how well the Yankees are swinging the bat. They're not striking out. And I don't want to take, I know Sale hikes his strikeouts 7, 10, 8, 9, 9. You can lean it. I mean, if you want, by all means, I'm not. I personally am passing on that. But if you said, oh, take one side, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. But you can see his numbers though. He's done great. I say great, decent his last couple games. 5 for 2, 5 for 2. Before that, Oakland just took him behind the shed and just beat it down. Before that, great. So you see how he is. Outside of the Oakland A's getting to him, he's been pretty good most of the year. His counterpart, Rodon, on the other hand, 3.28 with a 1.11. He got roughed up against Boston in his last outing, 7 for 5. 5 for 1 against KC, 3 for 2 against Minnesota, 3 for He's going to put a couple runs. This is what he's going to do. Sale's going to give up a run or two. He's going to give like 2 or 3. We see what we get there. We look at the data. We see the numbers are pretty much the same. Pitching, I would lean Sale over Rodon a little bit. I can see why it's a money line. I would lean based on these stats. To me, what the main thing we're looking at is that strikeout thing. Because Rodon, let's look at his Rodon strikeouts real quick because we didn't look at those. 7, 3, 9, 5, 2, 6. He has potential. He has it. I would look at the number and see what we can find. If it's good enough, I would lean that way and take his strikeout over. Other than that, you see the odds. It's a pick 'em either way. I would lean away. I wouldn't take either team in this one. Total, I would, if anything, based on seeing middle of the road offense and middle of the road that and pretty decent pitching, I would lean away from this too. So me personally, am I betting on this game? No. Do I lean any way on either side? No. So I'm just leaving this game completely alone, and you should too. So I'll move on to the next game. Next up, we got Toronto and Cleveland. We got Carrasco with a 5.8 and a mystery ghost dude pitching for the Blue Jays. We don't know yet. Even ESPN doesn't know. It says undecided. So that being said, for me, this game's going to be a complete pass, but I will show you the information anyways. We have the odds. You see, half the books don't have odds because how are you going to have odds if you don't know who's pitching? So you can tell some of these books are just trying to get you money. So, but somehow they have Cleveland as a slight favorite. They got totals of 9.5. So what do they know that the rest of us don't know? Data-wise, because it'll come out eventually. That way you have it. Toronto's lost 3, Cleveland's won 2. Cleveland's offense, 6.3 runs versus 3. They have a clear advantage. Batting average 257 to 280, not much of advantage there, and 7 to 6 are both top 6 in strikeouts. So the only thing you have is Cleveland being slightly better. I say slightly, double better when it comes to scoring runs. The rest of it's pretty much equal. And we'll look at Carrasco's pitching because that's all we have. 5.8 with a 1.46. Dude gives up runs to everyone. So you can see he's going to give us some runs, probably more like the 3-ish, 3.5, maybe 4 range, depending. Maybe even less because of how poorly Toronto's offense is recently. So with the odds being, you can see I can't give you leans in anything on this one because I just don't know. We need to know who the pitcher is. So for me, not only am I not playing this, I'm not giving any leans in this. We're moving on to the next game. Next up, we got Seattle and Miami. We got Kirby with a 3.54 with Rogers with a 5.09. The odds have Seattle is pretty heavily favored on the road. We have 7.5 across the board. Looking at the data, Seattle lost 2, Miami won 2. We have 53.4 Nerfy. Not worth that. We're going to pass on that. Miami's offense is kind of clicking. 6.3 runs for 4th. Seattle, 3.7 for 19th. 198 batting average for Seattle's 25th. Meanwhile, Miami, 274, so middle of the road. 9.3 strikeouts for Seattle. Hey, they're not 30th anymore. They're finally getting better. You can see a trend line finally. It's coming back down from the sky. And 6.7 strikeouts for Miami is only 5th, so we have Miami has pretty clear advantages on the offense. We look over at the pitching. Rogers going out from Miami with a 5.09 with a 1.62. You can see his recent stats: 6 for 2, 2 for 1, 6 for 4, 6 for 1, 6 for 4. You can see he's up and down. We see what we get with him here. Kirby, on the other hand, 3.54, the 101. You can look at his numbers here. He gives up less outside of his 2 games in May where he just got abused. Before that, after that 1-2, 1-0, much better numbers. So we see, looking at these, I would say Kirby, I would say he's a better pitcher in this one. Back to the data, we see Miami has the better offense in this. We have the odds of Seattle being favored. But if you want to back Kirby with that kind of offense, by all means, have fun with it. I would lean in this one, believe it or not, I would actually probably lean Rogers and his numbers because his numbers aren't that bad compared to Kirby's. But the offense and the data and everything, the offense is looking much better for Miami. I would lean Miami. I would not play this game. I wouldn't even play a total because the old's at 7.5. I can't do that. I would lean either way on that one. So if anything, I would lean Miami off overall, but at that, I would pass this entire game. Next game. Next up, we got Boston and Cincinnati. We got Crawford with a 3.54 up against Abbott with a 3.42. Odds have it pretty much a pick 'em. And we got 9.5 across the board on the totals. Data, Boston's won 5 in a row since he's lost 1. 51.2 Nerfy as a pass. Boston's offense is way better than Cincy in the last 3 games. 6 versus 1. 300 average versus 194. 7.3 is the same strikeout total. So we have Boston with a clear advantage offensively. Pitching, we have Abbott going out there with a 3.42 with a 1.20, and you can see recently has not faced Boston. And you can see the numbers. Last game we got roughed up in 7 for 6 against Seattle at the end of May. 7 for 3 against Colorado, 5 for 1 against the Cubs, and 4 for 3 against Milwaukee. So not bad, but you know he's going to give up a few runs, and he's facing a hot offense. Expect him to give up at least 3 runs probably. Looking at Crawford, 3.54, the 1.15, has been giving up runs to everybody. So 3, 2, 4, 5, 6. He's like Santa Claus at Christmas. Everyone's getting gifts when he comes around. So this one, I mean, I would lean Abbott, even though I wouldn't lean either one probably. I would probably lean over in this one. So you can see there's 9s out there. I'm probably going to take 9. I would lean over in this one. I would lean Boston, even though Cutter has woeful, I'm going to use the word woeful numbers in this one compared to Abbott. Abbott's numbers are much better, but where is his backup? Where's his run support? 1 run a game with a 1.94 average? That's not much run support unless this game is going to be a low scoring, like a 3-2 game, since he could get that. But outside of that, if this gets in the 4, 5, 6 range, that's a Boston win all day. So I would lean the over, and I would lean Boston, and I would move on to the next game. Next up, we got the Royals and the Rangers. We got Singer with a 3.39 and Eovaldi with a 3.15. Odds have the Rangers as slightly favored at home. 7.5, 8 is your total across the board. Both teams have won their last game. 58.7 on the Nerfy, not strong enough. Pass there. Both teams offensively are not doing great. They're both in the bottom half, even though bottom 10 of the majors. 3 runs a game with a 2.16 average for KC in their last 3. Texas with a 4.3 runs and a 2.08 average. Both these teams are not doing well with the bats. And they're both striking out 7.7 and 7.3. Nothing to talk about with props there. Pitching, we see Eovaldi has a 3.15 with a 1.17. His recent games, he's been okay. 0, 2, 1, 2. His worst game was his last one against Seattle. 4 hits, 4 earned with 4 walks. So not bad numbers. Looking at his counterpart, Singer has not liked the month of June. He has struggled. Not 5 for 3, 7 for 6, 9 for 2. Gave 3 home runs against the Dodgers. So outside of that, you can see May was a much better month for him. He's not doing too well in June. I would give Eovaldi the lean here as a pitching, but not much of one. And you see there is not much of an advantage when it comes to offense in this one. So if anything, Eovaldi slightly better. Texas is slightly better runs, but to me, I'm not taking anything in this game. This game is a complete pass for me, but if I had to lean away, slight lean Texas, and that's it. That's it in this game. Move on to the next one. Next up, we got Baltimore and Houston. We got Rodriguez for Baltimore with a 3.20. Score app doesn't have it, but apparently ESPN is showing it is Jake Bloss going out there pitching. Just so you can see what we see here, that's who's pitching. Yeah, so odds in this game, we see is Baltimore pretty heavily favored. Total is 8.5 across the board. Data, Baltimore and Houston have both won their last 2. 58.2 Nerfy, that's not strong enough pass. Baltimore's offense has been clicking. 8.7 runs for first while batting 309 for fourth. They've been batting 309 for the past week. 8 strikeouts for 12, so offense is clicking. Houston, 3 runs a game for 22nd, 280 for 10th. Not that bad, but not Baltimore good. Looking at the pitching, like I said, Bloss is going out there. He has no information for Houston, so we know what that means. Around here, we fade these people, unless your name's Paul Skeens, and Jake Bloss is not Paul Skeens, so we are fading him hard. Rodriguez, on the other hand, we see what he does. 3.20 with a 1.22, 2.21, doesn't matter. I'm taking the other team. We're fading the other team hard. Offense, Baltimore's 165. If anything, me personally, I'm taking Baltimore money line. I'm taking Baltimore run line this one because we fade starting pitchers for their first time this season and has done beautifully on the record. Total, I don't have a lean either way in that one, but I do heavily lean the run line. I heavily lean the money line. I am not going to take anything else in this one, and we're going to move on to the next game. Next up, we got Washington and Colorado. We got Hers with a 3.77 and Hudson with a 4.89. Looking at the odds, we see it's about a pick 'em. Slight favorite Washington in certain books. Over under 10.5, 11, 11.5 are your options out there. Data, both teams lost their last game. Nerfy is 52%. That's a pass. Washington's offense is terrible right now. 1.7 and 161 for last in the majors, 28th in runs, but they're not striking out. 4.7. They just can't do anything else. So 6.3 runs for Colorado for fourth, and that was mainly against the Dodgers. 270 batting for 13th and 8.3 strikeouts. So Colorado has a massive advantage when it comes to batting. Pitching wise, Hudson's going out there with a 4.89 with a 1.47. Has not faced Washington. You can see what he's done for a Colorado pitcher. He hasn't been that bad, even though 4 innings, 4 earned is probably his worst game. 7 hits over 3 for 5 against Pitt. Not bad. This is when Minnesota's been hot. 4 hits for 1 earned against Minnesota, which we know is on fire. Yeah, that's impressive. 5 for 4, 4 for 1 over 7 against the Dodgers. Dude's not bad. He's just wearing the wrong jersey, which means he's playing in Colorado, which means he's not going to be that good overall. Colorado never has amazing pitchers. So looking at hers, look at that last game, that 13 strikeout game. That was amazing. 6 innings, 13 Ks in 6 innings is impressive. 1 hit, nothing against Miami. Atlanta, 4 for 2. Mets, 7 for 4. He's getting better every game. What is he going to do? Pitch a no-hitter today? I mean, who knows? So data-wise, I lean Colorado on the offense. You got to lean. I would lean hers. Both pitchers are pretty good. Let's be honest here. So I would lean under. Just going to throw it out there. Under in Coors Field. It sounds impossible, but yeah, I would lean the under. There's 11.5 out there. I would lean the under. I'll probably take the under too. Outside of that, I wouldn't touch a side because hers is a great pitcher. I don't want to go because hers in Colorado, yeah, they're kind of hot on the bats right now, but I don't know. That's just not good enough for my personal risk assessment. I'm going to pass, but I am definitely going to do the under. And if I had to lean away, I'd lean Colorado, but I mean, I'm not taking it. You can. Next game. Next up, we got Minnesota and Oakland. We got Paddock with a 5.25 against Estes with a 5.97. Looking at the odds, we see Minnesota is a pretty decent favorite on the road. 7.5, 8, 8.5 totals out there picking poison. Data, both teams have lost recently. Minnesota 2, Oakland 1. Nerfies at 67.5 because Oakland home Nerfies are a thing. 86.8% there. Minnesota 5 runs a game for 11th, 4.7 for Oakland for 15th. They're both in the top 10 in batting averages, 281 and 286. Minnesota's striking out a lot more. They've fallen off a cliff when it comes to strikeouts, 9.3 versus 8.3. So looking at pitching in this one, Paddock is first. We see the 5.25 with the 1.41. We see he faced Oakland in his last start and got roughed up 5.55. So is he going to do better now? Or are we going to have the advantage where the pitcher faces the batter and the batter has an advantage the second time around? So if he does, it's going to be even worse game for him. 2 games before that against New York, 6.77, 5.44 against KC. Only game he did really good one was Colorado for 6 hits for nothing. So he's not that good of a pitcher, it looks like. Estes, on the other hand, also faced Minnesota, 8 for 6. So we have 2 pitchers that have given up a lot of runs in their last outing against the teams they're facing again. So both offenses should theoretically have an advantage. So looking at the data, offense is doing good, pitchers doing bad. We have 7.5 out there. Yeah, I'm going to take that. I don't care. I'm going to take the over 7.5. I am not taking a side because you see both pitchers are struggling mightily because their last game's out. Data-wise, they're both equal, about the same when it comes to their runs and their batting averages. So why is Minnesota so ranked higher? It's because the name on the jersey. That's it. There's nothing else. People are going to see, it's Friday. People got their paycheck. They're going to see Oakland and say, ooh, that team sucks. I'm going to throw my money on Minnesota and watch what happens. Oakland could very easily win tonight. Easily could. So I'm taking the over in this one. I wouldn't lean anything else in this one and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Milwaukee and San Diego. We got Ray with a 3.29 up against Cease with a 3.95. Odds have Diego as a pretty heavily favored at home with some 7.5 and some 8s out there for the totals. Data, Milwaukee lost the last one. San Diego won their last 2. 52% Nerfies a pass. Both teams about the same. 4.7 and 5 on runs. 232 and 248 batting average. Both got 8 strikeouts. To me, offenses are virtually identical. Looking at the pitching, Cease is going out there with a 3.95 with a 107. His last game got destroyed by Grimace, 7.77. Lucky numbers. Go play the jackpots. Before that, he did good against Oakland. Last pitcher couldn't say that. 8 for 1. LA 4 for 3. Has not faced Milwaukee recently, so that doesn't matter. KC 5 for 3. So we see he gives up runs. He's going to give up at least a couple runs, more likely than not, at least 3, maybe 4 runs. Ray, on the other hand, 3.29 with a 1.23. Cincy, 2, 3 for 1, 4 for nothing, but only 4 innings against Philly. Before that, 5 for 1, 3 for 2. Ray, you can tell, just statistically is a better pitcher just on stats in his last 5 or 6 games. So Ray has the advantage. Data, neither team has an advantage here. They're both pretty mid. That's what they are. They're middle of the road. They're not great. They're not bad. They're just mid. So stats, I can't. To me, I wouldn't touch this game at all. There's nothing going on. I can't put my hard-earned coin on these games. Who would? I can't do it. So to me, I would leave it alone. If you want to lean a certain way, I would lean Milwaukee because of Ray. That's it. That's the only advantage we have here is a pitching advantage. So Milwaukee plus 1.5, maybe money line. Have fun with it. I'm not doing it. You can. Next game. All right, last game. We got the Angels and the Dodgers, the LA series. We got Sandoval with a 5.24 against Knack with a 2.61. Looking at the odds, Dodgers are heavily favored. 8.5 is your total across the board. Data-wise, not a fair matchup. Angels lost 2, Dodgers lost 1. 42% Nerfy pass. 2.7 versus 7.3 on the offense. That's a clear advantage LA Dodgers. 202 versus 284. We have a heavy advantage for the Dodgers as well. 8.7 versus 6.3. Again, advantage Dodgers. So Dodgers have all the offensive advantages. Pitching matchup, Sandoval's going out there. We see what he does. 5.24 with a 1.50. Has not faced the Dodgers recently. Gives up 3, 5, 1, 2, 8. Cleveland rocked him 6 for 8. Houston 8 for 5, 8 for 3, 4 for 1. We see he's probably going to give up 3 to 4 runs. That's what he's probably going to do. Knack, on the other hand, 2.61 with a 0.97, 5.6, 5, 4 innings. He doesn't pitch much before the bullpen comes in. So he doesn't give up much, though. 4 for 1, 4 for 1, 3 for 2, 4 for 2. He's going to give a couple, 1 or 2. That's what he's going to get with him. So right there, 1 or 2, and we got maybe 3-ish runs. So we're already at 5. The total's 8.5. So I don't know if we're going to get there. You're banking on Angels offense helping out. I don't know if we can do that. So I would lean, for me personally, odds we have minus 200-ish, maybe around there, maybe even 190 I see on here for the Dodgers. Yeah, I would take those. That seems like the better play. Lean wise, I can't even lean over under in this one because of how, I just don't trust LA's offense. Angels offense. You can if you want. I can't do it. I would lean the Dodgers as I hate to say it, a late night parlay piece. I hate saying that because it's always the Dodgers late night. They're like the last leg of a 7-game parlay and money line, and all of a sudden they lose. So let's hope that doesn't happen tonight. So that's what I would lean, and that's it. That's all 14 games broken down, plays, a lot of leans given out. Let me know what you think of the lean process. That way you can see I'm trying to help you out more in the long run so you can get an idea of what I'm thinking out instead of just saying what I will play and will not play. Let me know what you think about that. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.